I am joined by Jamie Rome, one of the storm surge specialists at the National Hurricane Center. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, storm surge in itself can be a little tricky for some folks to grasp. Do you have a good, simple way of explaining it?
It's literally the strong winds of a hurricane shoving the ocean water over land. I mean, some of the winds in these hurricanes are in excess of 100 miles an hour, so you can sort of envision the force that it's pushing the ocean with, and it can literally just push it up on land.
And so there's a lot that goes into storm surge, the topography of the land, and not only that, but we have to deal with if it's a new or full moon and the tidal cycle.
There's so many variables in addition to the ones that you've mentioned, the storm size, which is really difficult to predict, the forward speed. It's probably really the most punishing forecast arena one can go into because there's so many variables and so many things that can dynamically change the forecast one way or the other. So the best way to understand, say, a forecast of 5 feet is go stand at the ocean or the shoreline and put your toes at the water line and envision the water coming up 5 feet. So in my case, I'm a 6 foot tall, so it would be up to about here on me, or kind of what you're used to experiencing at the deep end of a swimming pool. But unlike a swimming pool, it's not calm and gentle water that you could wade through or swim through. It comes in with great force. It often has waves and velocities, and even if it doesn't, often the water itself has hazards in it.
Looking back from when you started with the Hurricane Center, where was storm surge then?
The forecasting itself was really quite good 10 years ago. What was really missing is the communication part of it. The way that we talked about storm surge was geared more towards talking to our colleagues. So it was very technical, and most people just, they didn't want to be a storm surge expert, didn't have time to be a storm surge expert. And so they really just wanted a bottom line, tell me, is my area going to be impacted or not?
As we head into, a hurricane season that is yet again expected to be above average, do you have anything to say to our coastal residents?
So much of recent history or recent perspective of hurricanes for Northeast Florida has been shaped by what I would call near misses. Hard to fathom, given those who have experienced, significant flooding and past storms, for someone like me to show up and say, well, that wasn't, you only got a glancing blow. But really, you haven't experienced the full brunt and the full force of a major hurricane. You need to only look at the damage from Michael on the Florida Panhandle, like Mexico Beach, St. Joe's area, or the damage footage coming out of the Bahamas post-Dorian to really put in perspective, as bad as it was in Northeast Florida in the past few years, it's only the tip of the iceberg.